Welcome to our channel, Story Spark, where we value faithful marriages and speak against cheating. Let's begin our story. In the bright winter garden, Jack stood looking at Shannon, his wife of 40 years. The glass walls let in warmth, but their conversation felt ice cold. "So, you're going to stay with your lover?" he asked, his voice bitter. Shannon knew about Jack's bad temper, so she answered carefully. "Nicholas is not my lover. We just like the same things and enjoy spending time together." Jack's face twisted in disgust. "I can imagine what Louise would say if she knew you and Nicholas turned me into a pathetic, cheated husband." Shannon stomped her foot like an angry child. "You're not being cheated on. Nicholas and I aren't like that." "That's exactly what it is," he shot back. "A cheated husband is a man whose wife has other lovers. That's what I am, isn't it?" After a pause, Shannon softened her voice. "No, I don't have any lover. There's just Nicholas. And your joke about Louise wasn't fair. I helped him when he was alone, just like Louise would comfort you if I left." Jack shrugged, clearly not believing her. "I doubt Louise would play around with me like that." In a flash, Shannon's hand struck his cheek. The slap echoed through the room. Jack stepped back, surprised. "Using violence won't fix anything," he said quietly but firmly. Shannon's voice shook like she might apologize, but instead, she stayed defiant. "I'm not a bad person. And yet, here you are, getting ready to live with Nicholas, share his bed, and yes, maybe even have intimate moments with him." "Maybe," she agreed. "But what I do with Nicholas doesn't erase what we had." Her voice was playful, almost teasing, and he caught the mockery in her words. Jack kept quiet, knowing that her dates with Nicholas probably included passion she'd never shown him. "She's become a loose woman," he thought to himself. "Please don't forget your medicine when I'm not around, okay?" The worry in her voice surprised him. "Why do you care if I take medicine?" he asked, not believing her concern. "After all," he thought, "if I died, you'd be with Nicholas, wouldn't you?" She shook her head hard. "No, that's not it. I still care about you very much. I don't want you to get sick." Her voice got gentler. "You need your blood pressure and heart medicine. I worry about you. We're not young anymore. You're almost 71, and I'm 67. She gave him a quick kiss on the cheek, a sad goodbye, before starting her fancy sports car and driving off to meet Nicholas, her dead sister Louise's widower. Nicholas lived just 60 miles away. In many countries, this would be nothing, but in their state, it was quite far. As Shannon drove the familiar roads, she couldn't shake memories of that terrible day 16 years ago when her sister died in a workplace accident. The grief had knocked Nicholas off his feet, and Shannon stepped in to help the newly widowed man. What started as caring visits slowly turned into something more intimate, though Shannon couldn't remember exactly when things changed. But she clearly remembered when Jack found out the truth. Their fight was explosive, full of anger and accusations, until Jack suddenly collapsed, grabbing his chest in pain. This was the first sign of his heart disease. Panicked, Shannon called emergency services, her heart racing when she realized how dangerous things were. She felt exposed and vulnerable, with Nicholas in his underwear and Jack in his regular clothes lying on the floor. The ambulance team arrived and stayed professional, not saying anything about the obvious drama while they helped Jack. They took him to the hospital, where doctors put in a stent to fix his heart. By some luck, Nicholas didn't press charges against Jack, though the incident left deep scars on everyone. Now Jack suffered not just from his health problems, but from emotional wounds that wouldn't heal. As weeks turned into months, Shannon kept seeing Nicholas secretly, despite Jack's protests and threats to divorce her. For Shannon, it wasn't just an affair. It was helping Nicholas heal from losing Louise. Almost 16 years had passed, and Jack seemed to accept reality. Deep down, He felt Shannon was following her own desires more than truly trying to help anyone. One clear morning, just after 9 o'clock, Shannon left to meet Nicholas again, leaving Jack alone in their sunny greenhouse surrounded by glass and plants. Here, among the peaceful greenery, he faced the truth about their broken marriage and the secrets growing in the shadows. His health was getting worse, but he kept it secret. The last thing he wanted was for Shannon to think he was trying to guilt her away from Nicholas. That wasn't what he wanted at all. With a heavy sigh, he sat in his favorite chair and drifted into a deep sleep. The June sun climbed higher, turning the greenhouse into an oven. In his dreams, he wandered through an endless hot desert, but he didn't dream long. He woke suddenly, feeling the crushing heat. He tried to stand but got so dizzy he fell to the floor. The stone tiles that should have felt cool now radiated heat. The thick, hot air wrapped around him like a blanket he couldn't escape. He crawled toward the double doors leading to the living room, but his strength was fading. Shannon had given him a Bluetooth pendant for Christmas that connected to her phone, but now this lifeline seemed like a cruel joke as his calls went straight to voicemail. "Help me, please," he whispered, barely able to speak. His phone was in his jacket in the living room, and he kept trying to reach the door. Then he noticed someone else in the greenhouse. Turning his head, he saw Louise's familiar happy face, his sister-in-law's eyes sparkling with concern. "Louise?" "Yes, it's me," she said. She always called him Mikey, and in a world full of fancy titles, only her nickname mattered. She opened her arms wide, inviting him. But when he stood up, he realized something chilling. His lifeless body was still on the greenhouse floor. "I'm dead, aren't I?" he thought, hesitating at her warm welcome. Louise nodded seriously. "That's right. You've crossed over now. You need to come with me. I have special permission to guide you to the other side." Her expression softened as she continued. "I'm truly sorry for what Shannon and Nicholas did to you. You were right all along. I would never have betrayed your trust like Shannon did, not because I didn't find you attractive, but because honesty matters more than temptation. And let's be honest, I'm not like your wife." She gave a playful smile, lightening the dark moment. Taking his hand, they started their journey to a place far beyond earthly pain, a kingdom full of peace and wonder. Meanwhile on Earth, 2 days later, Shannon drove home with worry tight in her chest. She knew she needed to make things right with Jack. Their last meeting had left things broken, and now it felt worse than ever. What should I do, she thought, considering her options. Should she cook his favorite meal, maybe take a relaxing bath, or perhaps give him a day of pleasure? The thought of making him happy made her heart beat faster. Whatever it took, she wanted to heal their wounds and bring him back to her. Could she win him back and give herself to love again? Or would her cruel actions push them further apart? The memory of slapping him still filled her with regret. She had always supported women who faced even one act of cruelty, telling them to leave their partners immediately. So why had Jack stayed with her? Part of her desperately hoped he wouldn't leave. But wasn't this unfair thinking she couldn't ignore? She'd have to face these thoughts later. Already nearing home, a scary thought hit her. Her phone had been turned off. Her heart pounding, she turned it on and found a frightening message from Jack. "Please help me." Panic rushed through her veins as she pressed the gas pedal harder. Guilt mixed with fear as she raced home. Seeing Jack's car in the driveway reminded her he was there. She parked quickly, her heart racing as she ran into the house, shouting his name desperately. As she burst into the living room, she looked through the glass doors into the greenhouse. What she saw next would haunt her forever. There on the cold stone tiles lay Jack's lifeless body, his arms stretched toward the door like he'd been trying to escape. The sight almost knocked the breath from her lungs. 3 days in the hot greenhouse had changed him, leaving a horrible reminder of a life now gone. With shaking hands, she called emergency services. A special team arrived, their professional manner standing out against the terrible scene. She stood frozen, caught in a storm of emotions, trying to accept what her choices had led to. They gave her contact information for a company known for quietly handling crime scenes and accidental deaths. "They're excellent," the man assured her. "Just mention my name, Ron from the county coroner's office, and ask for Andy. They'll handle everything." With a heavy heart, she closed the greenhouse doors and went to the kitchen. Grabbing a bottle of gin, she called the only person she thought might understand the emotions churning inside her. Nicholas answered cautiously. "Hello?" "Nicholas, this is Shannon," she said, her voice shaking. "I just got back and Jack. He had a heart attack. He's gone." Before Nicholas could answer, an angry woman's voice came on the line. "Nicholas, are you talking to that loose woman who let you turn her husband into a fool? Hang up right now. You're supposed to be with me, not wasting time on her." Shannon felt rage and betrayal surge through her. "Nicholas," she cut in, raising her voice, "I thought we had something real. Remember how I almost left Jack for you? How stupid I was to think I meant more than just another woman to you. And tell that screaming woman to shut up." With that, she hung up and blocked Nicholas's number. It felt like a small victory, but she knew it was too little, too late. Pulling herself together, she called the cleaning service and left a message on their 24-hour line. "I'm sorry I hit you, Jack. I'm sorry I cheated on you. I am so sorry." The words poured out as tears ran down her face. Tears for Jack, for her dead sister, and most painfully, for herself. Yes, mostly for herself, because you have to be very self-centered to create the mess she had made. Life was cruel, but hadn't she made it worse? This concludes our story. If you liked it, please like and subscribe to the channel.